Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today, and special thanks to UNWTO. My name is Nadine. I'm the Global Sustainability Manager at the Travel Corporation. I'm here to walk you through our Climate Action Plan and our Industry First Carbon Fund, which, as we've been talking about today, we need to ensure that we have the money and we have the finance behind our reduction efforts. So I'd love to give you an example of what the Travel Corporation is doing to ensure we have that funding available. All right. I don't know how to use a clicker, apparently.
Yeah, I don't think it's you.
Is it not me?
Let's see.
Is it this?
I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
I think Roxana is helping us out. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Perfect. So just in case you haven't heard of the Travel Corporation, and I think to attest to the impact that we have when we're talking about net zero, we are a brand of 40 travel brands. We range from everything from guided travel to hotels to Uniworld ships to fully independent travel brands. And this really speaks to our scale. We operate in 70 destinations, and we have 40 travel brands. So how do we steer them all towards net zero? It's not quite easy. Our climate action plan, we did have to reestablish it in 2022. And so now it has 4 points, which is measure, reduce, restore nature, and evolve. What's important to note is that our first climate action plan involved offsetting, and we did have Contiki, which is one of our brands, offer carbon neutral trips. We realized that going through the SBTI process, offsets were not the right fit for us. There's something we didn't want to participate in, and nor did it have a place in our net zero journey. And I think it's really important to note that your climate action plan can change, it can evolve, and it must change in order to meet with new science and new technology that becomes available. So instead, what we did was we created our science-based targets, and we created the Carbon Fund in order to help achieve our net zero pathway. So these are our 3 verified science-based targets. We have our near-term, long-term, and net zero targets. As you can see, our near-term is basically to have our Scope 1 and 2 emissions by 2030, and then to reduce our absolute Scope 3 GHG emissions from our purchased goods and services. For our hotels, that's everything that we purchase in terms of food and beverage, business travel, and our use of sold products, and that is our trips. Our trip footprint is everything from the moment that we pick up a guest on trip to the moment that they depart, and notably it does not include that flight to and from destination, as we're often not booking them. So basically, how are we going to achieve these science-based targets? So we have 5 reduction priorities across our business that we're working towards. The first is our group of Red Carnation hotels. These are luxury 5-star hotels that we own across London, primarily, and some in South Africa. So this is where technology already exists, and we know that we can electrify our hotels and or invest in energy-efficient technology in order to drive down our energy consumption. So that's where we're primarily focusing our attention. We also want to generate and utilize renewable electricity across all our facilities and offices. We are reducing fuel emissions from our Uniworld ships, and these are river cruises. So it's an opportunity for us to reduce fuel emissions from there. And we're looking at securing low emission fuels and zero emission vehicles for our touring brands. The last thing that we're looking and especially focusing on in 2024 is the reduction of our carbon footprint across our trips. And of course, that can only be done in collaboration with the destinations that we operate in. So basically, how are we going to fund our carbon reduction efforts? We do have a carbon fund in place. And so basically what this is all our brands contribute to this pot of funding. They do pay into it based on whether we're a low emitter, a medium emitter, or a high emitter. So you'll see some of our luxury brands will pay more per person, and then some of our lower brands, such as Contiki, which is more youth and hostel oriented, they're a low emission brand, and so they would pay less towards the fund. What's exciting about this fund is that no matter what brand pays into it, the funding is available to all 40 brands. And so what that means is that the projects can come from the sustainability team that we put forward, but also we go to our employees. We ask our employees, what are some low carbon projects that you want to put forward? And we'll look at funding them through there. The fund stands at $3 to $5 million in 2023, and it's going to grow in 2024. So it's really exciting that we have this allocated money towards putting low carbon projects within the business, as well as partnerships with our destinations. The second piece of funding that we have is our Tread Right Foundation. That's our nonprofit for the Travel Corporation. Last year we focused and refocused, our efforts on funding nature-based solutions. And so this ranges from rainforest rescues in Australia to rewilding efforts in Scotland. And really that's just the piece that we want to restore, ensuring that we're able to store carbon as well as reduce it. Just to reiterate TTC's Carbon Fund, what we've spent the money on thus far. So our Contiki coaches, we've been able to secure HVO fuel for them, and it's going to result in a 20% decrease in emissions that are occurring in Europe. We've been able to secure energy audits at our 6 London Red Carnation hotels. We now have a report and a decarbonization and investment plan that we're going to follow until 2030 to be able to reduce the carbon footprint of those hotels. And we also installed solar panels at our Greek office, this is in Athens, as well as 2 offices in Australia. So again, we're going to make sure that we're going to invest in renewable electricity and our offices and our owned assets where possible. That's really all I wanted to share with you today. I really wanted to give you guys the opportunity to think about, is there a carbon fund that could work for you? If you're from a destination, it could be a tourist fee. If you're an accommodation or a business, you might consider allocating some of your funds towards this carbon fund. We have found that it's been really successful for us as a way to, 1, engage our employees, and 2, ensure that we have set funding for our low carbon projects so that we have this opportunity available. I'm super excited to speak to some of you in the cocktail hour if you're interested about learning more about our carbon fund or partnership opportunities. And you can learn more about our work at impact.ttc.com. Thanks so much.